Okay, so good day, everybody. You may notice that this is slightly different to the way which I've done things over the last week or so. There's one very good reason for that. When I was reviewing the results of the live streams last week, something was very noticeable indeed. In that the live stream was incredibly laggy, my voice didn't sync up with the image, all that sort of thing. Um, and after toying around and playing around for most of the weekend, came down to a very simple thing. My broadband's rubbish. Um, it doesn't have the bandwidth necessary in order to do a live stream well. The picture quality is really bad, or it's laggy, or it's kind of very jumpy, and so I've had to take the decision where I'm going to have to pre-record from now on and publish it at midday every weekday, so you still get the latest in mobility news and mobility insight, and also some hints and tips as well, as we usually do. But it's just going to be pre-recorded. But apart from that, all is well. I'm still going to be changing things. I'm still going to be iterating things over the forthcoming weeks. I've obviously got a new title screen, which I kind of hope you like. If there's any improvements or any changes which you want to see, please leave them in the comments below and I'll get look onto them. Okay, so without further ado, let's get on with the news. So, a big piece of unreported news over the weekend related to these things. Yes, ferries. Now, ferries aren't usually something which is in the forefront of transport professionals' minds or people who are actually our minds generally, I suppose, really. They're just kind of there. So, to many of us, these things are something which you get on board in order to do a booze run to Calais, simply. We can know that they're kind of important, but we don't really kind of understand it, don't really appreciate and kind of understand the level of importance which ferries actually do play to our transport system. And it's not just about things like trade. So 95% of all the UK's trading goods arrives or leaves the UK by boat. We can know that. It's obviously incredibly important in terms of cargo. But actually, a lot of these ferries are incredibly important lifelines to some of the most remote communities here in the UK and, of course, in other communities around the world. So, again, I'm just kind of thinking here in the UK, you've got the likes of the Orkney Islands, you've got Shetland, you've got Skye, you've got Outer Hebrides, you've got Isle of Wight, you've got Isle of Man, you've got all these different clusters of islands all around the UK, which frankly, the only way you can really get to them is by boat. And so these form really important community links. And they're being affected by COVID-19 as much as the rest of us are. So there's been a big call by big shipping associations which says the government actually needs to come in and financially support the operation of ferries and the operation of boat services. Otherwise, it's going to go into meltdown, because a lot of these ferry services are actually run by private companies or they're run under a contract. And of course, within those contracts, particularly for the socially necessary services, the subsidy payment is based upon an assumed level of demand, and so the ferry operator takes on a certain degree of risk. Now, like other forms of transport, ferries have seen a collapse in demand, even to the most socially necessary places. So, for example, in Scotland, the Scottish government, which kind of procures a lot of the island ferry services, has instituted a policy whereby there's no non-essential travel is allowed on ferries. So it's only for taking supplies, it's only for travelling locals who are trying to get to and from work. So it's like all non-essential travel on ferries is banned. And when we're coming up to Easter time and there's a lot of tourism which takes place in these areas, and suddenly there's no tourist traffic, which means no revenue, which means no people buying stuff at the shop because otherwise they're going to starve on a 4-hour ferry crossing. That then has a significant financial impact, and now the ferry companies are looking for something on the par with the buses and with trains in order to basically keep themselves solvent. So what's really interesting to me about all this is that the ferries are a really good example of something which is socially important but we don't really value that much. So we kind of know that they're there. We know that if we wanted to go to somewhere like Shetland or we wanted to go somewhere like the Orkneys, we'd get on a ferry. We know that. But we don't actually realise the sort of value which these services provide to those communities, and they provide that connection to the mainland, even provide connection to other islands. So whilst a lot of these areas are generally very self-sufficient, they have small shops, they have small community facilities, and they're generally kind of very, as I said, self-sufficient, they still need these ferry services in order to carry on with everyday life, not just in terms of cargo, in terms of providing services, in terms of providing deliveries and providing supplies, but also to maintain that connection with the outside world. You're probably kind of now thinking, well, okay, why don't they reduce the amount of services? You've got to remember that many of these communities, they're not like Dover Calais, which is ferries every 20 minutes or so throughout most of the day. These are like sailings, which are once a day, if that. Some of these places don't only get sailing once a week, and so you can't really cut the service because it's such a sparse service anyway. Something which I share a lot is how transport is fundamentally unprofitable without some sort of government intervention, some sort of government support, some sort of government subsidy. This comes back to something which I talk about in transport a lot, which is transport is fundamentally unprofitable without some sort of government intervention. So in this case, ferries are big. They are expensive, they're big to buy, they're big to run, they're big expensive to run, and are expensive to crew. And much like other areas of transport, the levels of demand are not sufficient in order to make the service profitable in most cases, or in order to make it profitable, they basically need to be full all the time, which, as we know by the nature of travel demand, that doesn't always happen, and many services do operate at a loss. And so when something like COVID-19 happens and demand falls off a cliff, suddenly what transport is and the fragility of the whole transport business model then becomes exposed, and it then becomes very real that it's fundamentally an unprofitable enterprise. And so we maintain it because it's socially necessary. And ferries are a really good example of this, and certainly something which I can personally feel is underappreciated. So where I grew up in Devon, there's a small island called Lundy. 15 people live on it, and those 15 people rely on the daily boat service, the daily ferry service, which brings in visitors, and it also then brings in supplies from the nearest small town, which is a place called Bideford. Now, this ferry was built in the 1950s, and it's gone well past its use-by date. It's been going for 70 odd years, but they can't replace it because otherwise the island loses its link. They can't afford to replace it either because it's just serving 15 people. But at the same time, they can't afford to not do it. They can't afford to not run the service because people rely on that link. They rely on it for supplies, they rely on it for visitors, they rely on it to get to the mainland in order to access jobs and to see family and all those sorts of, kind of really minor things. And it's just having the experience of taking that ferry and going out and seeing how important it is to the people on that island makes you realise, well, actually, if you looked at it in terms of like a pure benefit cost ratio, it doesn't stack up at all, but it's vital. And that's fundamentally what transport is. It's something which provides a vital service and allows people to live the best possible life. So I thought I'd finish off with a fun little thing which I've been noticing on social media. So many of you may have seen, I heard that train, you may have seen this clip, or this picture here, of some men doing work on a zebra crossing. There's nothing to it, really. It's a zebra crossing. It's some blokes doing some work on it. I mean, what is there of note about that? The thing is, this isn't any ordinary zebra crossing. This isn't any ordinary pedestrian crossing. It is this one. Arguably the most famous pedestrian crossing in the entire world. It's a zebra crossing outside Abbey Road Studios in London, which of course is then made famous by the Beatles. And it's one of the most iconic album covers of all time. It gets thousands of visitors every year, and I mean thousands. I mean, trying to run a bus, I know the guys trying to run a bus service down there, it's impossible because people are they're trying to recreate that basically, and it's a real pain. But what it does show is that first of all, their level of visitors and their level of use is now so low, they can actually go out and perform this essential maintenance work. They can repaint the lines, they can reattach the bulbs, they can do all this sorts of really important maintenance work because people aren't using it, and it's actually a really good time in order to go out and do basic bits of maintenance because there's less people actually using the road network now. And so they're using this as a really good way of just basically taking the opportunity, and I don't blame them. So thank you everybody for watching today. And of course, you probably heard I've just been joined by a little helper. Yes, Jasper. Yes, say hello to YouTube. Okay, well, everybody. Well, thank you all very much once again for sticking with the channel and for watching today. And until tomorrow, stay safe. Bye.